As we were coming up and developing this program, my partner John and I were sitting down and we were saying, well, what do you have, what experiences do you have when you meet with clients? And we started talking, and all of a sudden we realized that we were talking about the same things. So can I be blunt with you folks? Most plans don't work. Why don't they work? Clients don't help us, funding doesn't get done. I had a client who came in years ago, and her husband had died a little while before that, and she came in with her 5 kids. And she's a nice little Italian lady, just came in to get some planning done, and the family wasn't in harmony. The oldest son was a CPA and a financial planner, and the oldest daughter was a financial planner. And they were arguing since Dad died about what Mom's going to take care of and what the son's going to take care of, what the daughter's going to take care of, and they were just at odds with one another about what was going on. So they went on like this in the meeting with 5 kids there and their parents and me, and after a little while, maybe 20 minutes, I said, okay, hold on a second, folks. Hold on a second. And I turned to the mother and I said, Mom, what do you want to do? And she looked at me like a deer in the headlights. See, Mom's idea was carry on what Dad started. Dad, all he wanted to do was provide for the family, provide for the survivor until that person died, and then leave something for the kids. And Mom wanted to do the same thing. So I said to the kids, okay, each one of you has kids, right? And they said, yeah. I said, choose one of them, because that's what you're asking your mom to do. She didn't want to choose, so it calmed down the conversation so we could have a solution to the problem, and we wound up dealing with it in a very calm and straightforward way. The point is, things don't happen the way we want them to happen. Families are disharmonious. The parents' visions are unknown. The kids are often left in the dark, and they're the ones that are going to be helping the family in the long run anyway. So the statistics for family firms are even worse. The statistics say that most family firms don't make it too far into the generational scheme. 70% fail before the first generation, going to the second generation. 88% fail before getting to the third generation. And almost 97% fail getting to the fourth generation. So that old adage about shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations is becoming more and more true. So how do we change that? I don't think it's about the true wealth being based in money. I think the true wealth is based in the fact that you want to be able to enjoy your financial wealth without destroying relationships, communities, and a personal search for significance or meaning. And I think a balance is necessary to be able to do that. What's the impact on the family or on the community by making this particular strategy? So we said, well, how can we concentrate on those issues and make sure we develop those issues with the clients? A great opportunity. So think about it. Somebody has $10 million and they leave it to 2 kids. Now the kids have $5 million apiece. It's not $10 million anymore. And the kids have a longer time horizon. So those kinds of things are going to come into play as to how we do things. People are going to want to exit their businesses, and they're going to want to do it in a very profitable way. Protecting family assets is an issue. How do I make sure that when my kids get these assets, nobody's going to take it away from them? Not a divorcing spouse. 60% first-time divorces in this country. Do you know what it is for second-time divorces? About 70%. Okay? So how do I protect the assets against a divorcing spouse? How do I protect the assets against a creditor or predator? And how do I protect the assets against bankruptcy judges? Promoting family values. I think people want to promote their family values. They have cultures and heritages that they want to continue. How are they going to do that? Planning for future generations. We're in the process of planning for generations that aren't even born yet. How do you plan for that? How do you anticipate those unintended consequences that could happen? And then income tax benefit versus estate tax benefit. It's becoming a real issue, folks. Not so much like we heard this morning, there aren't very many people that have $11 million that they have to worry about. There's a lot fewer people that have over 11 million than have under 11 million. Well, if you're going to plan for someone that has that kind of situation, how do you plan to take care of the income tax consequences? You create an A-B trust plan for a client. All the money goes, when the first spouse dies, all the money goes into the credit shelter trust and gets the step-up in basis. The surviving spouse lives for 20 years after the first one dies, and then the assets have grown in value, so when the kids inherit it, they've got a huge capital gains tax to pay. How do we plan for that? How about the personal things? the things with high intrinsic value or high sentimental value? Who protects those things? More importantly, how are they divvied up? So in my family, it was a big deal. After my mom and dad passed away, my stepfather came down, he had all their personal things, and he said, okay, you and your brother pick a pecking order, and you decide who takes what. Each one takes one thing until it's gone or we give it away. My brother was older, so he got to go first because primogeniture runs in my family, and he brought his wife, and I was single. And she said, take that piece, that's a good piece. It really ticked me off. So in the planning, I usually advise clients, when we have this family meeting, only the kids should come, not their spouses, not their children, and avoid the conflict with the outlaws. How about unintended probates, or unintended disinheritance, rather? So there's a couple in California, they got married, had 3 kids. The wife died prematurely, and the husband remarried later on. All the wife's assets went to the husband. They're driving down the Pacific Coast Highway one day, and they get hit by a garbage truck and they die instantaneously. The lawyer for the wife's family argued that the way that the truck hit, he died 1 second before she did, all his money went to her and her family, and none went to his kids. So unintended probates can be a real bad problem. How about if you get divorced and you forgot to change the beneficiary on your life insurance, so now it's going to your ex-spouse rather than your current spouse? That could be a very interesting dinner conversation. Not everybody has great feats or accomplishments during their lifetimes. Everybody has had some measure of successes and failures, but everyone has a story to tell, a desire to make an impact, a desire to make a difference, have a passion that transcends themselves and leaves the world in a better place. People relate to stories. Sharing the intentions help people understand what the family vision is, where they're going in the future. Folks, we can create documents that last for generations, literally. How do we anticipate what's going to go on? How can we capture those visions so those future generations can benefit? If we can capture those stories, if the entrepreneur sits there and says, you know, I have a vision for this company that's going to last for generations, it's going to take care of this family or the families that work for us for years and years, why not set that down? Especially if it's a family business, why not set it down so that they have some vision down the road? If the business can go on for generation upon generation, not shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3, how do we keep that going? Fair with people. We're not equal with people, we're fair. So if you have an estate worth $20 million and $15 million is in your business, and your daughter got into the business when it was $1 million and she raised it to $15 million, is it fair to give her $15 million? Sure, it's not equal. But what about your tradition? What about your history? What about your integrity? What about your customs, your spirituality, your religiousness? Are those things important to you?